First of all, the different classes of financing is given on the face of the balance sheet itself. So instead of just saying advances of financing to customers, we have muraba receivables, mudaraba investments, musharaka investments, investments in ijara assets, ijara muntahi bit tamlik, ijara investment properties, and so on. Alright? Then the next important thing you can see is this one, classification of assets, is very important because, as you know, although all this financing is halal in Islam, there is something more, I would say, like comparing with, fard and sunnah. So it's more ideal thing according to Maqasid al-Sharia. For example, initially the Islamic economists proposed that we should use partnership or risk sharing, investment, which is given in musharaka and mudaraba. Okay, so here if this information is given to us, we can compute some ratios which will tell us whether we are heading towards fixed income financing or risk sharing financing, and that is a good indicator whether we are reaching the Maqasid al-Sharia or we are actually going away from the Maqasid al-Sharia. Another important classification which you do not get under IFRS is this, the equity is split into two, alright? IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards, it recognizes only two, equity and liability. But for Islamic Bank, we need a third group of liabilities, which is, we have liability, we have equity, and we also have in between unrestricted investment accounts. Because unrestricted investment accounts are not liabilities in the strict sense, because they are investment from the Rabul Mal. Okay? So we cannot show it as a liability. We have to show it as equity of unrestricted investment account holders. And that's what happens here. It is shown in between equity and liabilities. Whereas if you saw Al-Rajhi's, Malaysian Al-Rajhi's one previously, you will see they only have liability and equity. In the notes, they might give some information on how much is investment account holders, but actually the classification is conceptually not right, because from Sharia point of view, the unrestricted investment account is not a liability. It is an investment by the investment account, which is something like equity, but not the same as equity, because equity holders have voting rights, whereas investment account holders, they don't control the bank. They don't have any management rights, according to Mudaraba principles. Now let's look at income statement by a bank which follows AOFI standards. Again, here we can see the Islamic values and the disclosures here. So we can hear income from Islamic finances, sukuk commodities. Okay, then we have return on group's return to unrestricted investment accounts, less the group share as mudarib. So this is the return to the investment account holders. Alright, so the 11,517 is carried on here. Group share of income from joint financing, 18 million. Net income from investment, they add up all the other, income. Added to the 11 million here, they get 23 million. Okay, and we minus the expenses. Okay, and we have, because there is a big provision for impairment, which is like, depreciation or something, the heavy impairment provision. I think this is due to the introduction of IFRS now. So we actually made the profit into a loss. This is actually an accounting entry. There is no cash flow going out. Alright. So now let's look at these unique Islamic financial statements. We start with the statement of sources and uses of qard funds. Okay. Now, Bahrain Islamic Bank has a qard fund. I think perhaps Sharia scholars should make it compulsory that Islamic bank should have a Qard fund. Otherwise, why call ourselves Islamic? I mean, we have to try to achieve the socio-economic justice maqasid of the Sharia. I believe that at least 1 or 2% of the profits of the bank can be put into a Qard fund and increased every year so that the Qard fund becomes bigger, inshallah. So here is a nice sources, and so the bank puts in, okay, here they started the fund some time back. So they have, the fund is divided into two. Those which have been given out as Qard Hasan loans. So it's 10 million here. 10,000. Bahraini dinar is quite big. So it's actually 100,000, more than 100,000 riyals actually. And this one is 118,000 Bahraini dinar, which is available, not been distributed. Then they use the Qard fund for marriage, refurbishment of poor people's houses, medical treatment and others. So here 59 million is disbursed. Okay. So what is disbursed here become receivable here. That means people need to pay back this amount. Then during the year, people have paid back 67. Okay. Alright. Now it's quite interesting to see 10 plus 59 is 69. So they have paid 67, which is quite a big repayment, So they have balance of 2 million, two receivables, and they still have a balance of this 67 repayable becomes back, it goes into the fund, and now we have 126,000 to distribute. Barakah of Qard Hasan, I suppose. Alright. This is the last year's one, this is the current 2009, this is 2008. So you see, these are useful information for Muslim users because they want to do something more than get return. Okay, they want to do something useful like Qard Hasan. Okay, I think when you see this, you feel very happy as a Muslim that you are doing a little bit, not very much, but a little bit towards achieving the maqasid al-Sharia. The next item I want to show you is the statement of sources and uses of zakah and charity. You can see this one. Now, Islamic banks who do not follow AOP, they won't have these statements. So you must follow Islamic accounting standards to have this. So here, as you can see, undistributed zakah and charity funds beginning of the year, zakah due from the bank. So the banks for the current year, zakat by the bank is 747,000 dinars, and non-Islamic income they put here. Now this is a problem because they are mixing halal and haram here. This one, of course, is given to charity. So I would suggest that AOP revise the standard and have two columns, one for zakah and one for charity or sadaqah, so we can separate the zakat from the sadaqah. But anyway, this is what it is done now, 2002, and then the zakah is given to philanthropic societies and aid to needy families. This is how it is distributed to the asnaf. Okay, this is through a third party and this is direct. All right. Now here we have another statement. Now this statement is not in the together with the financial statement. It is a separate statement in the Sharia board report. It is a statement of calculation of zakah. I think this is a very useful statement to do a quick check on whether how the zakat is calculated. Because we cannot get zakat as a percentage of the income of the Islamic bank, because how zakat is calculated has its own rules and regulations. So this statement show how it's calculated. So they take the equity attributable to shareholders minus investment of the parent on the shareholding of Egypt Saudi France Bank. Okay, and this is, I think, non-Islamic bank shareholders equity. So they take this net equity which is owned by Muslims. Okay, and then they deduct these liabilities which can be deducted under the Sharia rules of zakat. Okay, and they add certain profits, they get 723, and they calculate 2.5775%. I think you know why it is 2.5775 and not 2.5, because this is adjustment to the solar calendar. All right, and this is the amount of zakat which is due. I think this is using the net invested funds method and not the assets method of calculating the zakat. Okay, so here we go. Right. So now, can you see it clearly or not? It's mingled. Okay, let me go back to the view. Oh, something wrong here. Can you see it clearly?
The font is small.
Can I have some response?
The font is small, Dr. Shah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, from Islamabad, we are hearing you clearly. Alhamdulillah.
Can you see the slides clearly? Or is it
No, we
This
have
slide-
arranged a slideshow by ourselves. What copy we received, we are running through multimedia, so it is clear, okay? And we are
Okay.
just watching you on presenting this topic.
Okay, thank you. Now, as you might know, the whole world is converging, or rather, most of the world is converging on the International Financial Reporting Standards set by International Accounting Standards Board. Now, this one I think is sort of a blackmail by the Western countries, as they always do, in the name of globalization, and global capital markets and so on, for free movement of capital. They say that you should have the same accounting standard throughout the world, so that investors can go cross border to compare, whether the investment is, beneficial for them or not. Therefore, the account should be based on the same standard. So even Malaysia is following that, and that has given rise to a lot of problems for Islamic banks. The Islamic banks in Malaysia are very happy, as in Saudi, I suppose, because they just want to follow the normal ones. But then, as I said before, and you have seen actually a demonstration of what information, if you follow the normal accounting standards, which is nothing from an Islamic perspective, and what information you get if you follow the Islamic accounting standards of AOFI, which is quite a bit, even though it's not holistic and comprehensive as yet. It can be made much better. But even leaving what we have in AOFI and going back to IAS, it has a lot of problems. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, from my knowledge of Sharia, it is against the Sharia to do this, because you're saying one thing and doing another, or doing one thing and saying another. So, unfortunately, our Sharia scholars might not be aware of the Sharia consequences of this, okay, or the socio-economic consequences, or what injury it causes to the Muslim users. The accounting profession in Malaysia has succeeded in convincing some Sharia scholars that it does not matter how you account for the thing, as long as the contract itself is halal, okay, and which is not true. Okay, you can see what happened just now, So, we have some problems if we use IFRS for Islamic banks, which has not been settled. The IASB is now busy in its financial instruments standards, which is very complex. They haven't sorted it out. In fact, they have deferred it to 2015. So it's a very complex standard, the financials, which actually has a big bearing on Islamic financial institutions. And that they haven't sorted out that matter, the capitalist one itself. So they will not look at Islamic banks until 2015 or later. But even then, they said they are not going to have a separate standard for Islamic banks. You just have to follow. And the mufassirin here are the accountants actually, who will have to interpret which conventional accounting standard to apply to which contract. using the concept of substance over form. But these are some of the issues which you have to solve if you want to follow IFRS. I don't see any solution, okay? By first of all, prohibition of partaking of interest-based transaction, okay? Because IFRS uses in fair value calculation a lot of interest rate calculation, okay, to measure the value of financial instruments. This is a problem in Islamic Sharia, okay, and then using the discount rates based on interest rates